Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. Now I, on the last session, showed you some things about the recorder. I actually pulled one apart. I pulled my Renaissance recorder apart so you can see the various parts that I've been talking about all this time. So what I'm going to do now is focus on charts. And the charts that I brought in about the various instruments and the different recorders. Now you got to remember the penny whistles, the song flutes, the tonettes, the flutophones, many of those little straight instruments, they actually work on the same principle as the recorder. They basically have the same equipment as the recorder. Some of them play better, some of them not so good. That's because of how they're made and so forth. But the principle of it is always the same. So let me start off by showing you this chart here, the internal part of the recorder, which is going to be the same as the penny whistle and the other instruments I just mentioned. This is the place where you blow into. This is the mouthpiece right here. This is the block, and I showed you that because I took my instrument apart, the Renaissance instrument apart, and showed this to you. The air comes down here, and it blows through the window, the lip, and the labium, and this is the whole head joint. And that's one of the better pictures that I have, the better sketches that I have. If you look at it from the front, we're not going to bother with this. This is harder to understand. But here's the labium, the window, the lip, the head joint. This is the whole head joint, the mouthpiece, and you blow in here. And if you tip it up, you can see the little crack in it. This is the bore. So this is one of the other pictures I have. Excuse me. This is the Renaissance recorder. I took this part off and I showed you the inner workings. Now I'm going to show it to you by picture because I took it to a Staples Place and I photocopied all of this so you can have a chance to see it. Okay, with the head, the casing off, this is the fipple. And this I showed you last segment, the labium. You can see there's a little slant there. And you can see this is the window. This is the fipple right here. They keep talking about fipple mouthpieces. Everybody thinks I'm nuts when I do it, but that does exist. Whoops, let me get this so it'll turn right. At least I hope it will. If I take the instrument and put it on the side, you can see this is a fipple. Here you blow in, and it has that shape that the recorder mouthpiece has. And this is the Renaissance recorder that I had here. This is the actual instrument. This is what I had here. And I'm able to show you what it's like with a little bit of glare on that. But there, if I hold it here, you can see it. I guess I better hold them down. I just turned it on to the other side. And you can see the fipple from the other side. You know, this is basically the whole recorder because the rest of it is basically a tube with tone holes. But that's all right. I mean, it's a simple instrument. I've long been fascinated with simple instruments and how much they can actually play and how well they actually play it. I mean, I take the recorder at Christmas time and I do pieces of the Messiah on it. I specially arrange them. But the recorder's able to do a lot. And the beauty of it is that it's so simple in a way, in order to play it, I don't have to worry about corks, pads, reeds, rods, and anything like that. It just doesn't exist and it doesn't have to exist. Let me see. There's another shot with a fipple here. And of course, I just put the yellow toweling behind it. If I hold it down, then you won't get the glare. I think it's a kind of paper that's on that they use in the photocopier machines. But you get a good chance to see it there. And I'm going to continue with this. If I lay the instrument down, then you see the back side of the fipple, and it comes down, and there would be a hole right in here. You can't see the hole, but I think I did try later on to see if I could photograph that so you could see it. I think it's handy if you're playing an instrument that you know how it's constructed and what it can do, what it can't do. This doesn't come in, it's kind of dark, it doesn't come in that well, but the fipple area is right here. But you will probably not be able to see the top of it, and I can't help that. Now, I tried to show the hole, which is right here. Here's the mouthpiece. Right here is the place where you blow in. That's the actual fipple itself. And here is the rounded part, and here is the hole. All you have to do is blow down that hole. And the only way I could do it would be to hold it up and put it next to the photocopier, almost flat down, but not quite flat down, and then surround it with toweling so it won't get too much glare and take it. This is a better one right here, because you can see this is the top of the fipple, this is the hole going down, and you can see the back side of it, and you can see, if you use your imaginations a little, how it does curve out to one side. And that's it right there. It's hard to get pictures of these. I've oftentimes taken instruments in and tried to photocopy them. Now look at this. This is the fipple, and it goes down on the side, and then you get the instrument right here. Now, why would I want to tell you all this, and why would I want to show you all this? Well, I want you to see how the instruments are made, because there's a reason why they're made like they are. If you can blow into a straw and put some finger holes in it, but keep one side tight without letting air escape, you can make a sound out of it. This is a good picture right here, the fipple. And it goes around, and the case would slide right over that. Now, this would be on the side. You don't see the tone holes, but they're there. This is just a reflection right here. It looks like there's a little hole here, but there isn't. It's just a reflection. Now, I have, this one's just like it, I guess. Now, let me show you some other recorders. The translucents, you can see the labium mouthpiece. You can practically see through it because it's a translucent. If I hold it down, I can stop the glare some. There's a little glare. I don't think I can help it much. Now, this is a clear instrument. Sometimes I like to buy clear instruments so you can see through them, and that helps you to understand how they're built. The mouthpiece, the fipple is right here. Now, you won't see it. It's covered with a casing, but there it is right there, and you can practically look through that instrument. It's a clear one. I buy instruments of all types and all sizes and all colors, simply to use them as a teaching tool. Now look at this. I've got the instrument so it's on its front. This is the back side. You can see right here you might have a little block. It's a little bit darker. That would be the block. And that's part of the fipple, the way that you see it. And this is the head joint right here. This comes off, and this is the body, and then there is a foot joint that I didn't bother to take. Right here, back side of the instrument. This is another picture of what it would be. This is the fipple mouthpiece. This is from a translucent instrument. I do not have the casing off, but you can see this is the block area. This is the mouthpiece area. Down here, the instrument begins. I've covered it with toweling because I wanted to focus just on the head joint and on the mouthpiece, and there it is. Let's see here. I thought I had another one. I do. This one here is a yellow instrument, kind of a golden instrument. It didn't come out that great, but you can see head joint. This joint here ends the head joint right here, and then you have the body, and then the foot joint would start about here. Simple instruments, I think they're fascinating because they can play so much. Now, for the recorders, I think I'll skip this. Here's sketches of the recorders. This is a sopranino. It's the smallest of the instruments that are recorders. It's very, very small. It's about 9 inches long. This is a soprano. That's about 12.5 inches long. This is going to be the alto. The alto is about, I'm thinking about 15 or so inches long. This is the tenor. The tenor is quite large. The bass is ultra large. This is a full straight bass, and it probably would be about 54 inches large. And this would be the folded bass. I do have the folded bass. It's actually a beautiful instrument, but the mouthpiece kind of slips off to one side. On this you have a bocal, excuse me, and the bocal you blow into. This just turns over to one side and you blow into it like a regular mouthpiece. But this metal piece acts as a mouthpiece, and you blow in here as you're playing it standing up because it's 54 inches tall. Hold on while I take a drink for a minute. So there are really those 6 types of recorders that are used normally. And I have them lined up. I mean, these are kind of representative of their sizes, even though they're not near as large as they are. But it kind of gives you a pattern of how the sizes are. Sopranino, soprano, alto, tenor, folded bass, and straight bass, or sometimes called great basses, and the keys are different. The sopranino's in the key of F. The soprano's in the key of C. This is what most people actually play. The alto's also in the key of F. The tenor is in the key of C. The folded bass is in the key of F. And the straight basses and great basses are in the key of C. So most of the instruments are going to be in the key of C or F. I've never seen a recorder in any other key than those, but they do play in both those keys. If you want to look at a folded bass, this is not my sketch, but if you can imagine, this is the mouthpiece and it's twisted over on the other side. This is the key pattern. You have 2-finger tone holes and 1 key that opens this. So first finger, second finger, third finger, which opens that. Otherwise, you'd have to stretch your finger down there to open it, and that would be impossible. And then you have this for the right hand, this key, and this key, but you can also open those. Those are keys you can open. So they do the bass is actually easier to play than the tenor because it does have some keys, so you don't have to stretch your hand so much. This is just another example of it. The folded bass is just, it's just like a regular recorder, except it's huge, and it does slant off to one side. And these are the key patterns, and this would be part of the finger charts for it, where you learn how to play it. This is an actual photograph of an alto in the bass. The alto is larger than the other sopraninos and sopranos, but you can see the difference in terms of the bass, how big it is. It's much, much bigger. This is 54 inches long, and this is 18 inches long. This is my sketch of a folded bass. The folded bass, the labium's on top. The mouthpiece has that traditional, going down and then kind of folding over to one side. and then 1, 2, 3 keys, 1, 2, 3 keys. There's a place to put your thumb in the back. The tone hole, there's a tone hole in the back for your thumb. And it's quite large. You're talking about, what, 27 inches, 28 inches, maybe 30 inches. It's quite large. I do have one. I've had it over, and it is quite large. This is my sketch of a straight bass, and it's very large. And this is the vocal. You just play in here like it's a regular mouthpiece. The ear goes up and goes down. The labium is still up here, and then you have your fingers right there, and you do have 2 keys down here. So these great basses also have a little metal piece on the bottom because you, generally speaking, they're on the floor. You're playing them standing up, or if you're sitting down, the instrument itself is partly on the floor. So in order not to damage the instrument, there's a little metal piece that it rests on. That's not the only one. The bassoons do it too. There are other instruments that do have a way to rest them on the floor. Now, just to show you the key patterns, this is the labium mouthpiece. This is not complete. And you see that the thumb hole is about pretty much across from where your first finger is on your tone holes in the front. That's pretty much its position, just to show you that. When I do, for some of my latest fingering charts that I've done, I actually show it on the side with the holes cut in for where the finger holes will be. And sometimes it's easier to learn it that way because you can see what fingers are covered just by blacking in those areas. And so that's with the way that I do it. I made this. I gotta watch my time here. I made this so you would know which keys. I mean, I have it. This is just a sketch of it. So you know which holes are used for which notes. This is the B, this is the A, but you also use it for the notes C and D, and this is a G. B, A, G, F, E, D, and this lower note can also be used for an F, and down here is your C. So that's just kind of a sketch of what tone holes are used for what notes. I have this sketch of all of the instruments together. This is a penny whistle, a sassoon recorder. This is a melody flute. This is a tonette. This is another melody flute. Actually, it's another penny whistle. This is a song flute. This is a Clark's flute, a flutophone, and another melody flute. They're all pretty much similar. They all play pretty much the same way. The fingering patterns are pretty much the same. And if you learn to play one, you can usually play the others fairly well. But those are the range of the instruments. And here I have them in color. Sassuto, penny whistle, recorder, tonette, song flute, flutophone, and melody flute. I mean, there's all kinds of instruments. You can get instruments more than that, but I have a bunch of them. Saxophone. I have some others here. I just basically wanted to make a comparison. Clarinet. Bass clarinet. Oh, this is an alto clarinet. I just want to show some instruments and show you a little bit about them and how they compare. I think I'll sit this one out, take this one out. There's always a similarity, and I'm probably going to close with this to save my throat, but when you play an instrument, and it's a woodwind instrument, whether it happens to be a song flute or a tonette or a recorder, always remember, put your left hand on top. Put your right hand on the bottom. Curve your fingers and cover all the holes. Do not flatten your fingers because that's a real bad way to play. Some people try to do it, but you're not going to cover the holes right. You're going to end up by squeaking, maybe not even getting the note you want. There's a tone hole in the back. You have to keep your thumb over that. And this is the correct position of playing. Now you will lift your fingers and put them back down depending upon the notes that you're playing. You may half hold by pulling your thumb off a little bit to get an octave. But if I flatten my fingers, if I don't tongue, I can't do anything like that. So you have to know how to tongue, you have to know how to breathe. It's all important, but it's going to be the same for any instrument you play. So when you learn how to play one instrument, you really have got the basics of playing more than one instrument. And most of the musicians that I know, except for some pianists, actually do play several instruments. They learn on one, they transfer what they know on another, they take instrument lessons on other instruments. They usually have a group of instruments that they play. I have about 300 in my collection, most of them which I play. It's not that hard. So I'm going to close it here to spare my voice, and we'll see you next time. I'll be doing something else then, so please join me next time.